In this video, we're going to be going over what, in my opinion, is the best solo shuffle and battleground blitz enhancement shaman build. This build is especially good for solo shuffle. BG blitz is where you can get away with a little bit more variety, but unfortunately, it seems like this is just the best solo shuffle build for a few reasons we'll get into. I'm not thrilled about this. I am desperately trying different things out as somebody that, really enjoyed the Storm Strike build in the previous patch. Man, I'm really trying to get something different, but all roads keep leading me right back to this build just being better. First, let's address the 10,000 pound elephant in the room, which is me hyping up my Storm Strike build. Now, a lot of you guys know that I was running a Storm Strike build last patch that was super fun, and all indications led us to believe that that build was going to be much better this patch, having 2 stacks of Storm Strike, having the Unrelenting Storms off Crash Lightning to proc Wind Fury. Like, everything was leading us to believe that that build was just going to destroy in this patch. And I'm sure a lot of you guys tried it, including myself, and were like, what? Like, why is this terrible? This makes no sense. Like, I get the deeply rooted changes, but, like, this shouldn't be as terrible as it is. Well, boy, do I have news for you. Well, it turns out they just nerfed Wind Fury damage by, like, 50%. What? Now, you might be saying, what? I didn't see a patch note about that. They didn't put it in the patch notes. Why would you put something like that in the patch notes? It's a PvP specific nerf to nerf Wind Fury by 50%. And we tell no one. Only Blizzard. Dude, so I'm sure a lot of you guys were slamming your head against the wall going like, I don't get it. This is supposed to be good. Why is this bad? Well, they nerfed your primary source of damage by 50% without telling you. Have fun. Are you happy? Wind Fury is so bad that a lot of enhancement shamans aren't even speccing into improved Wind Fury. They aren't speccing into Doom Winds. This just seems like absolute heresy. It's crazy what they have done to Wind Fury. They have absolutely gutted it. I, again, am desperately trying to figure out a way to make it work because I like Storm. It's just a fun ability to hit. It's very satisfying. I'm trying to figure something out other than Lash, but again, all roads just seem to be leading me back to this build. And it's good. It's just a different play style. So we're going to go over it because this is what we got. Now let's get into the talent trees. Let's talk a little bit about the Shaman class talent tree. There's not a lot really to say here. This is pretty standard, but I'm somebody that is a healing stream totem enjoyer. Depending on the matchup, I believe this totem, especially this elemental resistance talent, is incredibly powerful, especially against mages and elemental shamans. There are so many things in this game that do fire, frost, and nature damage, a lot more than you would think, but especially against mages, LE shamans, this has a crazy value. Healing Stream Totem has nearly 100% uptime if you are spec'd into Totemic Focus, which you should be, and when you're a Totemic Shaman, your Healing Stream has a larger radius. The radius of Healing Stream is 52 yards in a circle. That is a massive surface area. This thing is going to be hitting all your teammates easily, and 6% less damage taken. That's a crazy value across your whole team. So depending on the matchup, I would absolutely recommend Healing Stream Totem. I think a lot of people really sleep on it. And even the healing, the trickle healing is pretty good in my opinion. I am a Healing Stream Totem enjoyer. Also, feel free to take Hex depending on the matchup, as well as Thunderstorm. Feel free to take that again depending on the matchup. But the rest of this stuff is pretty standard. Pretty much everybody specs into most of this stuff. Now let's get into the enhancement tree. First thing we need to talk about is Elemental Blast. Elemental Blast is just so much better than Lightning Bolt. It's crazy. Even when you have things like Voltaic Blaze, which are good, I like this skill, but the fact that it procs off of Lightning Bolt just kills it. Lightning Bolt is terrible, and it's so bad that it almost kills the viability of Stormbringer altogether, because I just want to use Elemental Blast. I really wish that I could benefit from the synergies of the Stormbringer talents. Like, if these things also included Elemental Blast in Stormbringer, then maybe you'd see a lot more Stormbringer, but they don't. And Elemental Blast, it's the bomb. It's got a lot of things working for it. You get a buff when you use it that buffs your secondary stats. Even if you didn't get that, it would still outclass Lightning Bolt. It has better scaling because it scales off of nature, frost, and fire damage. So it's gonna pick the highest one, I believe. Elemental Blast is just the GOAT. Voltaic Blaze, it's a brand new shiny toy. I like it. It's fun. But the fact that you have to use Lightning Bolt to get value from it just kills it, because Elemental Blast is just that good. Next thing we need to talk about, feral or flowing spirits. This is terrible. Do not ever use this under any circumstances. This talent is so horribly undertuned. It's god awful. Never, ever, ever use that unless they buff it. It's horrific. Next thing, let's talk about Primordial Wave. I am using the full Primordial Wave with Splintered Elements because I am going to be flame shocking everybody. This build is primarily, I'm going to be talking about it from a solo shuffle perspective, but obviously in Battleground Blitz, you want to get up as many flame shocks as you can. You're going to put flame shock up on everything, so this is a pretty good value. You're going to get that haste. It's also going to let you use Totem of Wrath if you wanted to use that for a PvP talent. I've been liking Primordial Wave a lot with the Lash build. A lot of your damage is going to be coming from those flame shocks. And having Primordial Wave be just a secondary flame shock button when you want to, put up 2 flame shocks on 2 different targets, flame shock one, Primordial Wave the other, very similar to like how an Elemental Shaman would do. I like it. And finally, let's talk about one of the new toys, and that is the new Sundering with the Molten Thunder Sundering reset. This is good if you are playing Totemic, and that's really it. I don't know why you would ever want to run this as a Stormbringer Shaman, because it just does less damage than like your baseline skills in PvP. It's kind of weird. But when you are running Totemic, you get to benefit from Earth Surge, which is going to make your Surging Totem do a ton of damage every time you do Sundering, which is really, really good. Earth Surge is super good for Totemic right now because you also do little baby Sunderings every time you get a Hot Hand Lava Lash, which is a lot. So this is super good. I highly recommend this for Totemic. New toy, very fun. I know this is a super weird looking talent tree. I know it seems very bizarre to not get Forceful Winds or Unruly Winds or Doom Winds. It just seems like upside down world. I get it, but man, have they nerfed Wind Fury. It's crazy. Now let's talk about the PvP talents. Obviously, these are incredibly, depending on the situation, and you can change these, in between rounds. I almost always run Stormweaver. The way I play this build is I play it like an Affliction Warlock with off heals and utility, so I kind of play a more slow-paced game, and just I go deeper into dampening than probably other Enhancement Shamans do. These Stormweaver heals can hit incredibly hard. We're talking like 1.5 mil heals. And you might be saying, well, if dampening 50%, that's like an 800k, 700k heal still. If I had a button that consistently hit for 800k, 700k, I would hit it. And that's, again, at 50% dampening. A lot of your games aren't necessarily going to go that deep into dampening. So a lot of these Stormweaver heals can hit very hard. I think this is, I think a lot of people sleep on how hard these heals can hit. So I run that a lot. Counter-Strike Totem, also another sort of controversial pick. I don't always run this, but I think this is a lot better than people give it credit for. I played into Vinruki a few times, and he was flabbergasted by the amount of damage my Counter-Strike Totem was doing. Now, you can't just drop this on cooldown, when nothing's going on and it's easy for the other team to kill it. No, you want to drop this intelligently. When a rogue pops blades, drop Counter-Strike Totem. Yes, he may see it. He may kill it, but that is, a one global peel that he's not using for his blades. You want to use this when other people use cooldowns. When a warrior pops Blade Storm, throw down your Counter-Strike Totem. He's got to, deal with the Counter-Strike Totem, or his teammate has to deal with Counter-Strike Totem, or he's got to eat the damage. And just because it gets killed doesn't mean it doesn't get value. If you throw down a Counter-Strike Totem when somebody pops a cooldown, they might not see it for a global or 2 or 3. But by that point, they've put a ton of cooldown damage into that totem that is now getting reflected back onto them. So you just have to be intelligent with how you use it. You can't just throw it down and hope it doesn't get killed. That's not the way you do it. You got to be a little smart about it. And finally, the GOAT Grounding Totem. If they do magic damage, man, you got to run this. It's just the best. If there's stuff you can ground, you better be grounding it. Again, this is another one of those things you have to be using it intelligently. When you see cooldowns, use it on, CC, obviously, but I use it on UAs. Like if I can't wind shear a UA, I'll ground a UA. That's kind of the way I do it. I don't hang on to this too much. I usually keep it rolling off cooldown relatively quickly, but you do still want to try and get, a good cast with it. Hunter traps, things like that. Here's a very generalized DPS priority list. Obviously, this is very situational depending on if you're in melee range or what their health is or what the win condition is. But this right here is a very general idea of what you should be doing. You want to have Surging Totem down all the time. If you're at 10 Maelstrom, throw out that Ellie Blast. If Sundering is up, use it. Sundering, remember, is empowered by your totemic Earth Surge talent, so that's going to be doing a lot more damage than the tooltip will show you. Frost Shock, when you have the big boy Frost Shock that's empowered by Ice Strike and Hailstorm, that's going to hit really hard and also be an AoE. Then you want to Ice Strike and get that on cooldown as soon as possible so you can get that really powerful Frost Shock again. When that's not available, Lava Lash is almost always your best bet because you're going to have those empowered Lava Lashes through Ashen Catalyst. Then the Baby Frost Shock, where it's just empowered by Hailstorm and not Ice Strike. That is surprisingly pretty good damage, especially when you factor in that it also does AoE. You know, it's a magical skill, so it's not affected by armor. Then, does something need to be Flame Shocked? If all of those other prerequisites are met, do you have Flame Shock, and is there a target that you can Flame Shock? That's going to charge your Ashen Catalyst, make your Lava Lashes do more damage. Also, it's going to benefit from your Lashing Flames, where your where your Flame Shock does more damage. Then does your dog need to go for a walk? Do you need to do some chores around the house? Need to do laundry? Is there anything else you need to do? And then you Storm Strike. All right, now on to the games. This first game is with a notable Moonkin some of you guys might recognize, Supatiz, very skilled Moonkin player. And what this game is going to highlight is sort of my general playstyle and what you can expect. A lot of your solo shuffle games, you're going to have to start on the back foot. This build does not have snap pressure where you just come out of the gates, pop cooldowns, and get the enemy team on the defensive. That doesn't happen. You just don't have damage like that. It takes time for you to get your flame shocks on everybody, to get your lashing flames out. Just to get that spread pressure rolling, it's going to take some time, and there's no real quick way to do it. It just takes quite a few global cooldowns, and you have a lot of other housekeeping type things you need to do. But you'll notice that as the game goes on, we'll recover, and then we'll start to ramp up our damage. Doing my best here just to help us get control of this game with cap totem stuns, off healing. Supatiz is it looks like he's just cycloning kind of whatever just to slow down damage, and while we get spread pressure. So bouncing between the warrior and the shaman. He wanted to go on the warrior, and that is the good thing about this build, is that since most of this build's significant damage is coming from magical sources, it doesn't really matter what you go on. With my Storm Strike builds in the past, you'd always want to go on like mages because they have the least amount of armor, and your Wind Fury does crazy damage to low armor targets, correct? But with this build, with all of it being magic, you can just run warriors down all game. It doesn't really matter. Their armor is kind of irrelevant to you. So that is one really nice thing about this build. So here you can see we're starting to take over the game, hitting Supatiz with some nice big off heals, trying to keep that Earth Shield up on myself and whoever they're on. So notice how Supatiz has Earth Shield, I have Earth Shield, reapply the Earth Shield to myself right there. Got to keep that up. Got to micromanage that Surging Totem as much as I can. And now, as you can see, we've got the Flame Shocks rolling. I'm going to get triple Flame Shock. He root beams the Priest. Going to Flame Shock the Priest here in a second. And that's going to be 3 Flame Shocks. When you get all those Flame Shocks rolling, your Ashen Catalyst starts really popping off, and all of your Lava Lashes are going to be 8 stacks, doing pretty wild damage. That combined with all your other AoE from Sundering and Surging Totem, if you're micromanaging that Surging Totem like I'm doing here, getting some good value out of that, hitting 2-3 targets with it almost all the time. I love it when they stack up like this. And despite the fact that we've been on the Warrior, the Shaman's pretty low. So we're just going to swap to the Shaman. I'm going to hit him with a nice little combo there, and he's going to go down. Next up, we have a game against the rank 2 Warrior on the ladder. And what you're going to notice from this game is that I am not loyal to a target. I am hitting what is convenient and in front of me. With the way Shaman damage is, you can build up damage on target A and then unleash it on target B. And also, with the way a lot of your damage is, especially, Lashing Flames and Ashen Catalyst, just doing damage to anything will make you do more damage to the target you want to do damage to. So I'm mostly on the Warlock here, but if the Warlock gets away from me and there's something more convenient right in front of me, I'll go on that. Now, God bless this Paladin. He is dispelling all of my Flame Shocks. He's trying his best. He's getting absolutely punished for it. But I'd rather him dispel it than not. It does make my job a little bit more annoying, but he is paying the price for it. We're going to force bubble on him, and I'm going to have the grounding totem of a lifetime. I'm going to ground this UA because I can't interrupt it. I ground the UA, a Shadow Bolt, and a Hammer of Justice right there into a double cap stun. We have got crazy pressure going on right now. And again, I'm mainly on the Warlock, but not exclusively. We're going to force die by the sword from this Warrior, and I'm not even on him. He's just passively taking damage from Surging Totem and Sundering and all of the little AoE things I've got going on. So he pops die by the sword. We're not even on him. The Warlock's going to teleport away, so I go to switch to Paladin, he bops himself. So then I just start doing damage to the warrior, whatever. I'm just going to hit what I can hit, do as much damage as I can to anything. As soon as the warlock gets convenient, I'm going to go back on him. Pally gets trapped. So whatever, jump back to the warlock. He blanks, going to go to the warrior. Paladin's out of the trap. We'll go on him, whatever. Like, hit what you can hit. Hit what's convenient. And as long as you're doing damage efficiently, you're probably doing all right. And this final game is going to showcase what you can do when you get in those inevitable lobbies where you just get kited the whole game at everybody's range and you just can't really do what you want to do. And that's where I recommend that you really take advantage of your kit's utility. I am putting Earth Shield on myself, Earth Shield on my teammates, getting Flame Shock on people, getting out my Cap Totem, get a nice double Cap Totem right there. I am putting down Grounding. I am putting down Healing Stream. I am off healing. I am doing Earth Grab Totem, Frost Shock. Like there's a lot of things you can do while you're on the run that you don't have to be in melee range for. Rebuffing, doing a lot of the housekeeping style stuff. It's not the most sexy, fun thing to do, but it's something you can do to provide value while you're running around. Again, not being super loyal to the target right there. You saw I thought about that hunter for a second, but the evoker was not quite as inconvenient as I'd like, but look at the spread pressure. Even though my uptime is terrible, with the flame shocks out, with the searching totem doing some work, getting some nice searching totem value right there, we've got so much damage rolling right now that nearly all three of them die at the same time.